So I am going to be putting together my own Essentials binder right now. We have a brand new edition of Essentials, which means I'm starting from scratch. So fortunately, this version comes already with these tabs. There are tabs 1 through 24, so I don't have to buy those dividers that I used to get in past years. So you can see that this is already laid out for me. So week 1, I have the lesson right here on these pages, week 2, and so forth. So what I'm going to do now is add my IEW to this, the writing portion, so that I have all my materials together organized by date. So the IEW curriculum for this year has King Tut on the cover. This is ancient history-based writing lessons, so it matches what we're doing in Foundations. We're in the ancient history cycle 1. This is the teacher's manual, but we don't use every single lesson in here. So I'm not going to use just lessons 1 through 24. What I'm going to email each of you is our ancient history-based writing schedule. So you'll be able to see this up close. Here it gives you the week in the first column, and then in the third column, it tells you what lessons we're dealing with. So week 1, we actually have our choice between lesson 1 or 2. Week 2, we're going to be in lesson 4. Week 3, lesson 5, week 4, lesson 6, week 5, lesson 7, week 6, lesson 9. So you can see just there that we've skipped both lesson 3 and lesson 8 in just the first quarter. So again, we won't be using all these lessons that are in IEW because we're only going to pick 24 to match the number of weeks that we have in our Essentials calendar. So the first thing that I'm going to have to do is break this binding. So I just use whatever. I'm not even sure what these things are, but if you had wire cutters or something, you can just use this and snip through. Okay, so you can see that I have unbound this. So using my ancient history-based writing lesson schedule, I'm gonna pull out the lessons that I'm gonna put in my binder. So let's go to week 2. Here's lesson 4, okay? So I'm gonna pull out lesson 4. Okay, here's lesson 4. So I'm gonna take a pair of scissors and just cut off the extra right here. Okay, just to kind of get a straight edge for my hole punch, okay? And then I'm going to take my hole punch and do that. Now, Ray, you can get up close if you want. So what I have remaining is a couple important pages, okay? So this tells you that you are entitled to PDF downloads. And those can be important, especially if you are on your second or third tour. You'll probably want to do some of the advanced style elements, which are usually called decorations. And so on this blue sheet are the instructions for accessing your downloads. So you'll want to keep this in your notebook or somewhere handy, okay? So I finished the whole process of pulling these lessons and putting them in here, and it is about yay thick. This is a separate solutions manual that has all the quid quos filled out, the analytical tasks, and for the various daily sentences. So I'm not sure where I'm going to keep the solutions manual, but this is how much space this takes, okay? So what I'll do is for the first quarter of class, like I said, I will take out just these 6 weeks and bring them to class with me. It also gives me easy access to what we did the week before, the week after, and something that I can use to read up on a lesson before class time, because your tutor isn't the only one who's going to be reading the lesson. There's a huge portion of it that's for you, the teacher, the parent. So that's just so nice to not have to cart this whole thing around, but again, to have it all organized in one space is pretty great. So that's how I do it. You are welcome to do it any way that works for you, but this has been working for me for the past 4 years. So it's been a good system to me. Let me know if you have any questions. So you'll have some lessons remaining, and you might be wondering, what do I do with them? Well, you have a couple different options. You can consider using these to replace a lesson in here that your child doesn't like that's on the same unit. So for example, there is a lesson here on Cincinnatus. Chandler is a huge fan of Cincinnatus, and so I'll probably do that lesson in place of the one we're doing in class for his at-home time. So when we're on Unit 3, retelling a narrative, I'll replace the lesson that's in here with lesson 8. So at home, Chandler will be working on retelling the story of Cincinnatus because that's who he wants to do his Faces of History on. He really, really admires him. The second thing that you'll find in here are vocabulary tests. That's going to be in the back part, as well as an appendix that has a lot of great information. It's helpful, but yeah, you'll find vocabulary quizzes and their answer keys, as well as those appendices. But again, I would keep hold of these extra units because even if you don't replace them, you could do them over the summer. If you had some things you wanted to review, these can be handy. If you find you don't use them, just trash them at the end of the year.